Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Weekend Wrap, brought to you by CrowCast, of course. And a pretty good weekend it was for us in the end, getting up very well over St Kilda. And to talk all about it is my usual partner in crime, Macca. How you going, Mac?
Oh, pretty good, mate. It's been a very busy day here today. I had about 15 people here for the day, and I ended up having
15?
chicken and chips. Yep.
Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with chicken chef. Nothing wrong with chicken chef chips.
Beautiful, mate. They're beautiful. Actually, somebody else paid for them, so that was good too.
Oh, it's even better. Even better. Thanks to everyone who's joined us on Discord and on YouTube. Hopefully YouTube holds up the platform that I use to stream it, so that both YouTube and Discord chats join up. Was down until about 10 minutes ago, which is why we've started a little bit late. But hopefully that holds up, and also my camera seems to be a bit dodgy, so if I just freeze, it's not because I've gone into a coma, Macca, it's just my camera is a bit dodgy.
That's all right, mate.
Although, as may have been reported earlier in the chat before we started, I'm quite a few in tonight. I had a mate over from, or a work colleague over from Melbourne, and he'd never been to the Adelaide Oval, so I took him to the Saints game. And I have to send a massive thank you out to Big Mick, who supplied the tickets. They were excellent, Mick. So if you're with us, I haven't got Discord up just now, but if you're with us, Mick, I really, really appreciate the tickets. They were fantastic tickets. Jared had a lot of fun, loved the stadium, and we spoke quite a bit. We drank quite a bit. And then we continued after to drink a little bit more.
Now, who would have guessed, Fee?
Come on, mate. I'm holding it together pretty well.
No, you're doing well. You're doing well.
All right. Before we get into the weekend's results, Mac, what did you think of today?
I reckon it's one of the best games we've ever played in terms of playing what I would call a complete game. We played aggressively, and we played defensively, and we spread well. Our usage of the ball was such that Ross Lyons vented or claimed a defence which was impenetrable, looked rather easy to get through because we actually made space everywhere. It was just really good.
Yeah. You must have read my mind, mate, because the description that I put in the YouTube video said exactly those words. Possibly the most complete game that we've played this season. From start to finish, we had a plan. We executed the plan. It was exactly how we said we should be playing last week, Mac, when we previewed the game, that we had to get them on the outside and we had to play aggressively and quickly, and we just killed them on the outside. We had them all day on the outside. It was very obvious.
Yeah, and I think the one good thing about it was I went through all the 22 players and plus thrown 23 with the sub as well, and probably there were maybe 4 players that didn't play at their very, very best, but they still did something. In other words, we didn't have players that were just witches' hats. Even the ones that weren't at their very peak still contributed to the win. Yeah.
I didn't notice too many passages. I think everyone played their part when they needed to play it. I didn't feel like there was anyone that let themselves down. A couple of players more quiet than others, but you get that in any game, and it just looked to me like being at the ground was very interesting. It's the first game that I've attended this season, and we're just very, very organised, and we had a clear strategy to play, which hasn't always been evident this season. And it at no stage, even in the second quarter when St Kilda came a little bit, at no stage did we look like we were under threat, to be honest with you.
No, I must admit that was their big quarter, wasn't it? They really tried to pour it on us in that second quarter, and they did gain a little bit of ground, but not a lot of it. Whereas in the past, when we've been under attack like that, we haven't held on as well, and maybe they might have got back to square. But no, we did a pretty good job.
That's right.
That was their big go.
Yeah, that was their push, and it really amounted to nothing. Anyway, before we get too heavily involved in all of that, why don't we have a look at the round this week? Because, to be honest with you, mate, it was a pretty boring round of football, to be honest with you. Friday night, we had the Tags get over Geelong by 24 points in a bit of a boil-over, but it just shows that Geelong are vulnerable on a bigger ground, doesn't it?
Yes, but also, Vane, and not many people took this into consideration, including myself, because I went for Geelong. But afterwards, after the dance has been done, there were 9 first-choice players out of the Geelong side with injury.
Yeah,
so, that's a hell of a lot of players. So you've got a very unbalanced team. And they started off pretty well with Radaglia and Stewart doing the usual trick of just dropping back and marking everything that came their way. But the Tigers didn't. They did what every other team should do, is just man them up at all costs. And then they played their normal game of just kicking in there randomly, and some of their handball and running was pretty good too. But they caught Geelong on the nap with the way they attacked all the time, and they were just too good on the night. And
everything that we didn't do against Geelong last week. Everything that we didn't do against Geelong.
Probably the best description of the lot. Everything we didn't do.
They played fast. They played fast footy. They hustled and bustled the ball forward. A lot of people call it chaos footy. It's not really chaos footy. It's just running in waves, backing each other up, and getting the ball forward and through Geelong's zone. And you take Stewart and Radaglia out of the equation when you play like that. And it helps when you can use the width of the ground against Geelong. Because it does spread their zone a bit. Their zone is so effective at their home ground. But at the G, they're a bit vulnerable to that style of play, and I think there would have been a lot of teams taking notice. But as you say, Mac, half a team out, basically. Particularly, Paddy's been playing so well that a few others out as well. So by no means write Geelong off, but it was a good win by the Tigers.
Yep.
I'd love to see the TV ratings for this game. Gold Coast up by 70 points in the end over West Coast. A good win for the Gold Coast. They needed to win well, and they did, 113 to 43.
Yeah, look, I won't say too much about it. I thought Rao turned the clock back, and he was deadly at the clearances. He was a physical beast at the clearances. Played a mighty, mighty game. Game was over at half time and ended up 51 points, so that's about all. That's all about that one.
Yeah. Freo having a good win away against Sydney. Freo 103, Sydney 86, 17 points in the end. I didn't watch the game, but Sydney just about done, I'd say. Yeah,
look, Freo was far too good, actually. Darcy is a very underestimated ruckman. He was fantastic. He had 44 hit-outs and 18 disposals. And Jackson, who I have been having a bit of a crack at, he found form as a mobile forward with an occasional hit in ruck. Sarong and Arrea on the ball were just too good. And for Sydney, they lost Mills very early in the game, and they really had no tools down back. The one thing about positive for Sydney, they've got a champion in the making in Gould. He had 39 disposals, 5 tackles, kicked a couple of goals. He's a future champion of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you about Darcy. I don't think he's terribly underrated now. I think a lot of teams are sitting up and taking notice. He's having a very good season.
Yeah, he is.
Port Adelaide got the easy kill down in Tassie against North Melbourne. The game was over halfway through the second quarter, really. 135 to 65. Not much really to say there. North were pathetic.
Yeah, look, they only had about 3 good players, North. Goldstein actually won the ruck. LDU, to save the full name, and Larky up forward, but the rest of them are a pathetic lot, and not much else to say.
Yeah, not playing with a lot of heart at the moment. Clarkson wouldn't be happy. Another easy kill for Melbourne, 49 to 103. The D's way, 54 points. It's hard to say who's worse at the moment between Hawthorn, North Melbourne and West Coast.
Well, the one thing I would say about the Hawks, they are on a mission to get pick one thing. So, I mean, I think they're a little bit better than they actually playing, but they manipulate their side. Yeah, but it was men against boys, though. Oliver Petrarca, Viney dominating the midfield. Will Day is a player of the future for Hawthorn, but the second half was a little bit even, 7-7 to 6-4, but it was all over by then. And the D's weren't at their best, but they didn't have to be at their best.
No, that's right. Hawthorn's pressure in the third quarter was pretty much how they played against us all game, but they couldn't sustain it against Melbourne. A good win by Brisbane up in at the Gabba, 87 to 45. Brisbane 42-point winners. Essendon out of the 8 still, and the Lions looking good. I mean, they always look good at home. The challenge, obviously, for them is going to be to win against good teams away from home,
which they did last week, actually.
They did.
Yep. No, Essendon were in front at half time by 10 points, but in the second half it was 10-8 to 2-6, and Joe Danaher had a ball. He kicked 6 goals, the big fella. He's back to his best, and Rocky, and I thought Lockie Newell played a very good game and looked more like the Lockie Newell of old, because he hadn't had much of a season so far. And young Ashcroft, he played a ripper of a game too. So
he did play well.
They go pretty, yeah. I thought there was only one player who really, really stood out for us, and that was Redmond. And we've got to try and get that bloke.
No, he's not coming.
He's not coming?
No, he's not coming. The one that I'd like to get out of Essendon is injured at the moment, and that's Darcy Parish. He's the one that I reckon is gettable.
Well, he probably is gettable, and he would be handy.
Yep. We're done now with anything apart from midfielders, mate, in my opinion.
You never have too many midfielders.
No, the funniest game of the round was Carlton getting done by 20 points. Had a shocking first quarter, came back, spent all that effort getting back into the lead in the last quarter, and then just went home, and the Bulldogs end up winning by 20 points.
You summed the game up there, mate. There's not much else to say. I thought that they were also outcoached, that Lob was played on a wing, this great big tall fella. But the reason why he's played on the wing, he was dropping back to cut off the leads for their forwards, and English positioned himself around the same area as well. So that's why Curnow and Mackay had very little effect on the game. So yeah, it was actually very good coaching by the Bulldogs coach. And the Carlton faithful, they were overjoyed when they got 6 goals in a row, but it was short-lived when they started to lose. Again, they did the big file out before the end of the game.
Yeah. PJ asking if I've got mail on Redmond. Maybe a little whisper, PJ. Look, Carlton just have no connection between their midfield and their forward line. And the most ridiculous thing I saw all night was the big fella, Mackay, taking a shot from almost dead in front and kicking it around his body. I mean, there's not a frontline forward in the game that should be doing that, and he is so bereft of confidence at the moment in front of goals. They should just, and to Voss's credit, they recognised that and played him higher up the ground in the second half, and he was a little bit more effective as that connector, and they kind of gave Curnow the forward line. But gee whiz, how can a big fella like that just be lacking so much confidence to kick a straightforward shot 45 metres out?
Well, I look at him, he's a grown man. He ought to, grow a set and just try a little bit harder and practice a little bit harder and do it correctly, because that was pathetic.
Ridiculous. Anyway, it was good to see Carlton lose. They're not going to make the 8, I don't think. And apart from us today, Collingwood had a very strong win against the Giants. I didn't see this game because I was otherwise engaged. Macca, but 120 to 55 is a fair belting.
No, look at with the 15 people around, mate, and I didn't get to see that one, so not much to say there.
Never mind. So let's just have a quick look at the ladder because I think it's good news for us. We've got Collingwood on top with 32 points. Melbourne, the Land, and Port Adelaide just sneaking up there on 28 points with a fairly easy ride lately. St Kilda on 24 points with the Bulldogs, the Geelong Cats, and ours truly, the Crows, on 20 points now. We're half a game clear of Carlton, who have slipped out of the 8 on 18 points. Essendon and Gold Coast, Freo on 16, Richmond on 14, Sydney GWS on 12, and then the fight for the wooden spoon and Harley Reid bringing up the bottom, and North will be pissed off. They've won 2 games so far. They'll be hoping that the Eagles can jag another one and Hawthorn can jag another one.
It's a battle down there, isn't it? They've all got their eyes on the spoon.
Mac, and you know what? We're bringing at least 1 and probably 2 more teams into this competition. We currently have 3 teams that are not AFL standard. Like, they're not even close to AFL standard. And what you end up with is such an imbalance. You've got a situation this year where Melbourne, who finished in the top half of the ladder last year, have North, West Coast and Hawthorn twice.
Which is ridiculous.
How does that happen?
It is ridiculous.
When you've got 3 teams, I can cop 1 team, I can even cop 2 teams, but when you've got 3 teams that are guaranteed wins, then the fixture really does start to make a difference. It'll make a difference between a team, making the 8 or not making the 8, based on how many times they play North Melbourne, West Coast, and Hawthorn. And we're going to add 2 more teams to this shit fight, and it's going to be. I reckon it's going to be a big issue for the AFL because there are too many dead games. If you have a look at this week's round. Really, it was only the Friday night game and today's game, the Crows and St Kilda, that had any interest anywhere apart from those that supported those clubs.
100% support what you're saying, and I made it very clear last week. I'm against Tasmania coming into the competition, not because I hate Tasmania, because I just think there aren't enough AFL standard players playing at the moment.
No, there's not.
I think the answer should be,
there's not.
It should be less teams, not more.
I really agree. And it's going to be exacerbated when those 2 new teams. You're talking, I mean, Tassie's already in. I would imagine there'll be a push to even up the competition again. So you're talking about 80 more players into a team that is into a competition that's already diluted in terms of talent. We could very easily be running a 16 or even a 14 team competition if you wanted it to be elite. And the fact is, at the moment, it's just, it's ridiculous. You ended up with a situation, and, it swings around about, it comes and goes. We have seasons where it's, fairly even across the board. But I just think now, the way things have panned out since the compromise draws, it's going to be very hard for North, West Coast and Hawthorn to get back up the ladder, in my opinion.
Well, that's actually true. I've always thought, actually, that a 14-team competition is the perfect one because you can pay each other home and away and have 26 home and away games, which will satisfy the TV mob. And if you work out the number of games, they would be happy with that because in the long run they get as many games with a longer round. So, and then we would have much higher quality teams. Your point's very valid too, though, about the teams that are struggling down the bottom. If they haven't got anywhere by the time that Taddy comes in, they're going to stay there.
Yeah, well, that's right. It really is going to be difficult with the concessions that Tasmania are going to get. And I look at a team like West Coast who are in dire need of a massive shake-up over the next couple of years. They are going to really struggle. And similarly with North Melbourne. And this is where North Melbourne was stupid. And, of course, I guess they didn't know about Tasmania at the time. But knocking back 3 picks for Horn Francis at the time, they need so many players. They just needed those picks, in my opinion.
100%, 100%. It's a massive error.
Yeah. Anyway, look, so, we're in good nick. We're in the 8. We've still got a few difficult games to come, of course. Next week will be another test for us. Pardon me. And the St Kilda game was in my opinion, Macca, a real litmus test for us. If we needed to, in this little block of 5 games that we've had, Collingwood and all that, we really needed to win this St Kilda game. And the fact that not only did we win, but we won in a very assertive way, in my opinion, was a really good sign.
Yeah, look, it was, and as we both said, it was just a complete team effort, and there was no particular weaknesses which gave them an easy avenue to goal. Everybody competed well. Everybody played their role well, positioned themselves well, and I was absolutely so. I was taken aback when I looked back and tried to find the players that might have let us down, and there weren't any really.
There really weren't, Mac. Some players had quieter games than others, but really, there wasn't what I would call any passengers. Adelaide 19-7, 121, and good kicking in the first quarter set us up. We weren't hamstrung by being inaccurate in front of goals in the first quarter and keeping Saints in it. That's what we want. The Saints 10-9, 69. So 52 points in the end. I think we got it out to 10.5 goals at one point, and St Kilda got a couple of ladies, but just a really solid performance, Macca. Just I felt like. It exposed Ross Lyon. Ross Lyon didn't have a plan B. And yes, they lost Membry and didn't have Max King and yada, yada, yada. So they didn't have a huge forward line. But their inability to hit targets up forward and to really have any sort of connection between their midfield and their forward line really hurts them, St Kilda. And they're never going to kick a winning score against an attacking team.
No, I have to agree with you. The one thing that I think it's worthy of mention that amongst our players that really, really shone today were lesser lights, such as like Jones, Pedler, Murphy, Scholl. They're the ones you think that they also ran in the team. They all shone, absolutely shone.
Even, dare I say it, Wayne Miller.
Yeah, and Miller, yes, and Miller. I mean, he had a very good game.
Yeah, he did. He probably his best game for the season. Well, without a doubt, his best game for the season. Let's have a look. And now, before we get into the stats, just a reminder, of course, that as is always the case, Macca, we're live and interactive. So those that are on the Discord stage, if you'd like to have your say, then please feel free to put your hand up and we'll get you on to have a bit of a chat. I think all would agree that under severe duress, I'm going very well at the moment, Mac. Very well. Not slurring, not missing my lines, not swearing.
No, you've done extremely well, mate. You haven't done anything wrong. You haven't even passed wind or anything like that.
Oh, I have, but I muted myself.
Oh, right, okay.
Anyway, so if you want to have something to say on the live stage there, stick your hand up and we'll get you on. We always enjoy hearing people's points of view. Now let's have a look at the team stats, and 441 to 349 disposals tells a tale, and I'm sure when we have a look further down we'll see where that was. 255 to 201 kicks, 186, 148 handballs. We only had 4 more inside 50s. They had a lot of inside 50s for no result, as we were just saying, Mac. Disposal efficiency. Our disposal efficiency was very good. Theirs was below standard. Mostly, I think, due to our pressure. We were very front on with our pressure, and we didn't allow them too many easy kicks, particularly out of congestion. 34 shots from 53 inside 50s was excellent from us. The hit-outs were fairly even. Clearances 43 to 38. They beat us in the middle. They got on top for a little while in the middle in the clearances through that second quarter, and a little bit even in the third. But it didn't really amount to much, and we seemed to corral them a bit Mac, we seem to be quite not happy to lose a clearance, but we seem to be very well structured across half back to be able to, their dump kicks into their forward line were really nothing. Stoppage, we did really well, 31 to 23. I thought we were very strong around stoppage. Contested posies, 152 to 144, but look at that. Uncontested possessions, 289 to 195, Mac, and it was evident at the ground. We absolutely destroyed them on the outside. We didn't allow them to get much outside at all, and yet we had a very good mix around the contest of inside players and outside players. We always had one back. We always had one to give to. We weren't all bees at a honeypot. I thought it was very disciplined around stoppage.
Yeah, I think that we were outstanding in that respect, actually. And I was going to raise that point about the disparity of the uncontested possessions, because basically that once one of our players looked like getting a ball, the next players down the line were making position already. So It was just, and usually there were options to go to as well. It was, I thought it was outstanding.
We were rarely static. We were always moving.
Yeah, and plus I thought our standard of disposal efficiency was pretty high, both around the ground and also inside 50.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful day, little wind, so there was no excuse for bad disposals, but I thought we used the ball really well with intent, and our forwards competed probably the best that they've competed for a month, in my opinion.
Well, there was options, always options. Even when they couldn't get the ball, they at least contested to get it, to give somebody else that opportunity. So,
well, that's right, and that's what they need to do, isn't it? They need to compete so that blokes like Rankin and Pedler and Keys and all that can get involved at ground level.
Yeah, no, it's very, very hard to be critical of anybody in the team tonight, and there was some that Pats had, as I say, moderate games, but they still contributed one way or the other.
Yep. Marks 126 to 78 just underlines what we were saying about us getting the ball on the outside, and not only getting it on the outside, but there wasn't too much the down the line stuff. There was a fair amount of switching the play and using the lanes and using the diagonals when required. There's a couple of really good passages of play where we went diagonally across the ground, Mac. It was very, very good, very enjoyable to watch. 12 to 14 inside 50, 11 to 7 contested, 75 to 65 intercepts. I thought our half-back line played particularly well. Tackles were even. Yep. Tackles inside 50 were even. So it was really evident that from that one statistic, the uncontested possessions and what flows from that, that was where the game was won, in my opinion.
I was going to mention, you mentioned the back lines, and they do, but they're very worthy of a mention. For the first time in a long, long time, I thought the Butts he moved smoothly, and he looked like he wasn't carrying an injury. I thought his movements were much more precise, and he played a good game down there.
He did play a good game.
And on top of that, when we were tossing up, we were thinking Worrell might come in and Parnell came in. Now, some people were unhappy with that, and others happy, and others not sure what to make of it. Parnell played an outstanding game, and that mark of his, of course, is probably could be and should be mark of the week. But his actual game was an excellent game. Excellent.
Took the hanger right in front of me, Mac, and right in front of Anzac Paul, who I should mention, I had the pleasure of meeting at the game. He was sitting about 2 rows behind me, so it was good to meet Anzac Paul. And I think Seasgirl was a couple of sections across, so was right in that pocket in front of all three of us. So that was a really good hang. It was a really good hang.
No, it was ripper. And your man Smith, who sometimes gets a little bit of a boot from you, I thought that was probably one of the best games he's played for a very, very long time.
Look, to be honest with you, Macca, I had him almost as our best player. He did play very well. Didn't turn it over much. Was in the right positions at the right time. Was a very good outlet. from defence. I thought, particularly in the first half, I just felt like he played a cracker of a game.
He did. No, it's a long one. I reckon he's turned the clock back. So I reckon it's the best one he's probably played in about the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. Well, and the thing of it was, remember last week we were talking about run and carry off half back, and we've been lacking in that department over the last couple of weeks. A bit of standard deliver from Brodie Smith and not a hell of a lot from Miller. Well, we got some run and carry from both of those players today. Brodie was actually able to move with the ball in hand, and Miller likewise. So that's what we need from those two players. That's exactly what they're there for.
Yep. No, in fact, the whole back line in totality was very, very good. It's a strange situation when you say that Dudo was probably the quietest of them, and yet he had a good game as well.
Yeah, they all had good games. Let's have a look at some individuals. Geordie Dawson, it was a pretty good four-quarter performance by him. 33 touches, 16 kicks, 7 handballs, 5 marks, 5 tackles, only kicked a point, but was very good around the middle. He had 12 contested possessions, 21 uncontested, turned it over 6 times, intercepts 3. Whoops. He took 5 marks, 1 of them contested, 4 uncontested. 22 pressure acts, got us 316 metres gained, was there for most of the centre bounces, got 6 clearances, 3 of them in the middle, 3 of them around stoppage, 5 tackles, of course, 1 of those inside 50s. But the key stats for him, 6 inside 50s, pardon me, and where's score involvements? I'd like to see score involvements, please, Mr. AFL app. So he had 9 score involvements, and that's where he's been lacking over the last couple of weeks, Mac.
Yeah, well, his kicking was a little bit off at times, but I thought it's no coincidence that since he's moved into the middle, our whole game plan has changed, and it's a totally different. It used to be a weak-looking midfield, and once you put him in there, you can start putting in the fringe players, the Rochellis and Rankins, and even today, as they tried several players through there, which they can afford to do. When you've got a Laird and a Dawson there, you can afford to try others through there. I mean, Pedler went in there 6 times for 3 clearances.
We'll get to Pedler. A lot to say about him. But before we do, I've noticed that Animal there's got his hand up. Hopefully he's got his audio sorted, because I think he was on last week and we couldn't hear him. So Animal, come on and give us your thoughts. There we are. How are you, mate? Oh, dear. Come on, Animal, you're better than that. We can't hear you. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know whether you're listening on the on your phone or on the computer, but we can't hear you, mate. So I'm going to kick you back, and hopefully you can get that sorted out, because you usually got something good to say. Let's, in the meantime, have a look at Brodie Smith, Mac. 32 touches, 19 and 13, 9 marks, one tackle, kicked a goal. 88% disposal efficiency. That's what we like to see. 8 contested possessions, 22 uncontested possessions. Took 9 marks, 1 contested. Got a 731 metres gained. And I think most of those were genuine metres gained. He didn't take a huge amount of kick-outs. Only kicked 7 points or something. Got a stoppage clearance, 3 inside 50s, 8 rebound 50s was the strength, obviously. Yeah, only 2 kick-ins from Brodie. So it was a pretty good game by him, and like we were just saying, easily, I think, the best game that he's played this season.
Yeah, easily.
That's it.
Yeah, I was just thinking, as far as Smith goes, that's it. But he had good players all around him, mate. It was a
look. You're here to make comments, not to just agree. Say something, man.
All right. All right. You're half pissed. Is that a comment? And no. Maybe. But what should we talk about then?
Well, let's look at Lockie Shoal because you're just stumbling around like an old man and we can't have that. Lockie Shoal had a really good game, I thought. 26 touches, 17 kicks, 9 handballs. Took 8 marks, 3 tackles, 81% disposal efficiency. Back to what we expect from Lockie was I didn't see him shirk it at all. 6 contested possessions. Oh, bloody hell, why was it doing that? 6 contested possessions. I don't know why my app's just going crazy all of a sudden. 20 uncontested possessions, 5 intercepts, didn't turn the ball over at all. What else have we got here? 474 metres gained, which is what you want from your wingman. So I don't know what it looked like on the TV, but he looked to be involved with it a lot, Mac.
He was involved a lot, and he's whereas he used to shirk it and make sure that he wasn't there when the physical clashes were coming up. At least he's riding the physical clashes at the moment. At least he's getting there, and at least if he doesn't get the ball himself, at least he's making a contest of it. I noticed in the chat they say he can be exposed defensively at times, but they all can be if when the other team's got the ball and move it quickly. And I thought that he's certainly justifying his position. He's a beautiful kick on either foot, so he's got great foot skills. And I thought his partner in crime and Jones on the other wing played an excellent game as well. Jones is actually Shoal is playing good footy, but what I like about Jones, he's developing. And when you think of the player that played, I think it was only was it last year? Not last year, the year before. He played many games and he averaged 8 disposals a game. Now he's starting to look like he is a very good AFL footballer. He's got pace to burn. He's a very good kick. He's a very good short pass. He's starting to be very good at finding other players. And if he's anywhere near goals, he doesn't mind kicking it. So it's an interesting thing. You started talking to me about one player, but Jones was the one I really wanted to talk about because I just loved the way he played today.
But it's not your show. It's not your show. Why are you talking about Jones? We haven't even got there yet. We're going through individuals. We haven't got to Jones. We're talking about Lockie Shoal. So put a lid on Jones and talk about Lockie Shoal, and then we'll move on. And eventually we'll get to Jones.
Christ almighty. Okay, we'll move on.
That's what we do every week, mate.
Well,
Miller, 26, no, not every week. Only when you're annoying. Miller, 26 disposals, 12 kicks, 14 handballs, 7 marks. He had 85% disposal efficiency, which was excellent. 9 contested possessions, 8 intercept possessions. Again, exactly what you want from your wingman / defender. It's 6 uncontested marks, of course. 198 metres gained because he does tend to chip it rather than get a long meterage. But the way he was putting the ball today, and it was probably because he had options, was such that they weren't just rubbish kicks. They were actually attacking kicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree with that. And but I think all the players this week, when they had the ball, I'd say about 8 times out of 10, they would have had options to go to, not just one player. That's what I did like about the fact that the players clearing it from the defence, they always had options.
Are you having trouble talking about individual players?
What have I said wrong now?
You just go off on a tangent. I'm talking about Miller.
So was I.
I'll tell you what, who else had a good game and who's having a bloody good season, Macca. And we didn't expect him to be able to have a good season, and it surprised all of us. And that's Rory Sloane. And he had another monster game today. 25 touches, 12 kicks, 13 handballs, 8 tackles, 2 marks. Again, at the ground, he was as solid as a rock. 14 contested possessions, 6 intercept possessions, 7 score involvements, took a couple of marks, 336 metres gained, 5 clearances all around stoppage. He was excellent around stoppage. 6 inside 50s. he's putting together a bloody vintage Rory Sloane season, Mac.
Well, it's an interesting situation. When the season started, I think you were in the same boat as me, saying that
Yep.
I think it would be a mistake to play Sloane. We should be playing the young boys and let them develop. But the interesting thing is that we were wrong, because Sloane
Yeah.
is not only he's played very good football himself, but on top of that, he's a great reinforcement to the young boys, and we've really got two leaders on the ground. We've got Dawson as one, and Sloane is definitely still a leader on the ground. There's no doubt about that. And he goes himself. He earns a hard ball. He's a very good example to the young boys what you've got to do. And so I'm so pleased for Rory, because I thought his career was virtually done
Yeah.
at age 33. But no, look, he just sets a very good example to the rest of the boys that you when the ball's there to be, you go in hard whether you're going to get hit or not. And no, I loved Stoney's game. It was just his normal. I percent for the club game.
Well, and I don't want to cast any aspersions, because I agree with everything you just said, Mac. But I think he's also benefiting from the fact that he's not the go-to player to be tagged anymore. Like when we had Paddy and Sloaney was sort of Robin to Paddy's Batman, we were able to get these sort of performances out of Rory. And then when Paddy left and Rory had to be the main man, he really struggled with that tag. And I think that the role that he's playing now, where he sort of pinch hits in the middle, he's not the main man. He's the not the outlier, I guess, but it's not his primary role, and so he's not getting that tag, and he's really benefiting from that. And I'm so pleased for him, because not every player can handle a tag and handle a hard tag, and he's not that type of player. But we're getting best value from him at the moment.
Well, one of the reasons he doesn't attract a tag as much as he used to is when you've got in the centre, and you've got Laird, who is a ball magnet and can get it, and you've got Dawson in there, who's another ball magnet that can get it. They're the people that they're worrying about, and Sloane is getting the benefit of that to some degree, but he still does have many situations where others might shirk a little bit, but not Sloaney.
Oh no,
he's tough.
he's yeah.
I still just remember, it's not this particular game, but that incident that with Dangerfield that time when they ran head on into each other, and Dangerfield lay flat on his back and Sloaney ran away. He's just tough as tungsten.
Yeah, he won't give up. No, all power to Sloaney. All credit to him. He deserves to have the season that he's having, and he's getting better every week, in my opinion. Of the rest, who should we look at? Now, what was interesting, Mac, is that of our top 10 disposal winners, we had Brodie Smith off a wing halfback, Lockie Scholl off a wing halfback, Wayne Miller off a wing halfback, Patrick Parnell off halfback, Mitch Hinge off halfback. Like 7 out of 10 of our top disposal winners were not midfielders. That shows you exactly how we set up.
Well, yes, the defenders they did all play well, but on top of that, we varied our game quite a bit. A lot of times where we used to always try and go through the centre, and the Saints often try to cover that, but we'd have guys out on the wing on their own. So we actually were very good at moving the ball around and moving into different directions to actually get them wrong-footed. So I thought if any coaching honours go to anybody, it's got to go to Nixie. I thought the game we played today, if we could produce that type of game every week, I know we could have stronger opposition, but if we played that way, we wouldn't lose too many.
There was just a lot of evidence at the ground, Mac, that the focus was on really surging from halfback. We got so much run off the halfback line. Everything was coming from behind the congestion, so the ball was going out the back, the run was going from behind. There was a lot of width, from all our defenders and our halfback flankers and our wings. It was clear to see, and it doesn't surprise me, those stats, but it really stands out. The players that were getting a lot of the ball were all those players that were providing run and carry.
Yeah. And they did it well. And as I said, our foot efficiency is very high, higher than normal.
Yeah. So who else we got here? Let's have a look at Jake Soligo. I thought he continued to have continued his season. He only had that one quiet game a couple of weeks ago, but aside from that, he's been excellent. He had 22 disposals today, 13 kicks, 9 handballs, 5 marks and a tackle, kicked a goal. He went at 77% disposal efficiency, 6 contested, 17 uncontested, 4 turnovers. I think people underestimate how good Soligo is on transition, Macca. He had 7 score involvements, but he really knows where to put himself as the outlet or as that link-up player.
Yeah, but he's also very good at earning the hard ball in a contest. So, but he does make space well. But on top of that, there aren't too many contests that he loses in a one-on-one situation. And to pick him up where we did and watch the development in this lad so quickly, he hasn't reached his ceiling yet. He's going to be very, very good.
Yeah, had a couple of clearances. One inside 52, rebound 50s. It's just, I find that he gives us so much value in transition play, stoppages around the ground. He holds the ball in when he needs to. He provides good outlet handballs, etc. when he needs to. I know that Rabbit's not a big fan, but I like him. We got Arab Child, mate, that usually his microphone works. So come on, Arab Child. Come onto the chat and give people someone else to listen to. How you going, mate?
There's got to be something wrong with him.
Just not working tonight for these boys. I don't know what it is.
Are they hitting the mic?
I don't know what they're doing, but we won't have any dead air. Sorry, mate, it's not working. I'll kick you back out, and we will continue. Now at the game, Mac, it was very evident that one of the best things that we've done this season is bring Lockie Murphy in around stoppage, because his work around stoppage, Mac, up the ground, sort of between the two arcs, is exceptional in my opinion.
Well, Lockie Murphy, and again, you and I, we're both guilty at the beginning of the season. What's he doing in the team? And he has really put us on our backsides, because there isn't a player in that team that goes harder for the ball. He puts his whole body and soul and risks it for every possession if necessary. And he's developing into a very, very good player. I mean, I remember at the beginning of the season, it was as I said, there was criticism of him being on the side, but gee, if you look at his last 3 or 4 weeks, they've been outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And talk about earning hard balls, he just puts his body on the line, and he really does, and it gets him real buildings. But he gets up, and he as PJ says, we're all guilty. I remember him before Bugger getting attacked by everybody for just existing, and he's playing fantastic footy, and actually he's using the ball very well too, I think.
Yeah, well, you look at his spread of stats. He had 10 kicks, 12 handballs, 5 marks, 8 tackles, kicked 1 goal, 1. His disposal efficiency was up over 80%. He had 9 contested possessions, 13 uncontested, only turned it over once. He had 9 score involvements. Took 5 marks, none contested this week, but he's not bad overhead. 20 pressure acts. 3 clearances around stoppage, 8 tackles, as I mentioned, a couple of inside 50s. Like, he's involved everywhere, and it just his work rate around stoppage and his ability to straight line through the ball around stoppage is just fantastic. And, a lot of people saying that Murphy's improved. I think it's more just that we're playing him correctly, Macca. He's no longer that bloody hit-up target that we used to make him play, that hit-up target, and he'd be, going up against bloody halfback flankers that were 5 centimetres taller than him, and he was just getting monstered all the time. Now we're playing him as an extra around stoppage between the two arcs, and he's just a beast around stoppage.
Well, you might be half pissed, but you're spot on there because he was virtually
No, I'm
playing.
sobering up
They
now.
were.
Sobering up.
Are you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
I had a couple of coffees.
he used to have to try and do what was called the Lynch roll. Well, leading up from half forward up to towards the wing situation. But as you say, now he's working between in the area, and just half somebody said. No, look, you're quite right. It really is a bit of a change of role, but there's one thing is undeniable. He's added, in my opinion, massive courage to his game. Massive courage.
Oh, he's always had courage, Mac. It's not something that he's added to his game. He's always had courage, but he's playing in the right role, in my opinion. Now look. There's a bloke that you might want to talk to, Chase Jones, mate. Tell us all about it.
I think I already did that.
Oh, did you? You did too, out of format. 21 disposals, 16 kicks, 5 handballs, 5 marks and a tackle kick to goal. Disposal efficiency just under 70. Had 5 contested possessions, 15 uncontested. Turn it over a little bit. 4 intercepts, 4 score involvements. To be perfectly honest with you, Mako, if I was gonna nominate a few of the quieter players, Chase would have been one of them, despite the fact that he had 20 odd touches, 362, but that was just at the ground. So who knows? He had 4 clearances, 3 of them around stoppage, which is excellent. 4 inside 50s. So he was a bit inconspicuous at the ground, but again, another good game by Chase.
Yeah, I thought he showed up pretty well on the TV because what he did so well. It really caught your eye, and he has got blistering pace, and he's one that really lowers his eyes and tries to put it onto a chest rather than above their heads. So, and when you're watching it on TV, PJ Crow's agreed with me. He did stand out, because some of his stuff was really scintillating and made you think this guy is really going to be a very good player. And I get more encouraged every time I watch him because he just puts on, just another little trick into his game, like where he'll be under pressure and he'll take a side step and get around and then do a nice little pass. He's starting to really feel like he's an AFL player.
Yeah. Now, we're going to give Mick a go. Mick's always good for a bit of sense. I hope his microphone's working. How you going, Mick?
Pretty good, thanks. And yourself?
Oh, yes, we have victory.
Good on you, Mick. Good to have you aboard, mate.
Yeah, I thought I'd come on, Macca, so Shane didn't keep on picking on you, mate.
I know. He's like that. I get
Mick, I have to say thank you. Mick, I have to say thank you very much for the tickets. They were awesome and much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem, mate. Pretty good seats. A bit close to the bar for you, though, were they, mate?
Oh, it was more than 10 paces, so it took a bit of effort.
Yeah,
now, I don't know whether you're dropping in and out or whether you're covering your microphone with something, but just nice and loud into the mic, mate, because you're a little bit quiet.
Yeah, right. You can hear me better now.
Not too bad.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't leave the room. I was just wanted to mention, I know you'd say it's not his turn to talk about him yet, but I love Pedler's game. Just totally love this game.
Yeah, you would be on your own there, mate.
He
stood out. So did Jones. Like both of them stood out.
Yeah, he at the ground, Lukey Pedal. Let's just talk about his stats real quick. 16 touches, 9 kicks, 7 handballs. But by God, do you get value for money out of his touches? 5 marks, 3 tackles, 2 goals. He had 8 contested possessions, 9 uncontested. He had 4 score involvements, 5 marks, 2 of them inside 50. 220 metres gained, 6 centre bounce clearance, 6 centre bounce attendances for 3 clearances, if you don't mind. Loved seeing him in the middle, and just gives you a little bit of a taste of what we're going to get in 12 months' time when he's got a tank. 3 tackles, 2 of them inside 50. He just looks like a bull. When you're watching him in real life, he just looks like a bull. He really does.
that one-handed pick up and goal in the first
Yeah.
quarter was just like, that was just brilliant to see. I didn't know Paddy Parnell could get that high. That's got to be
No.
one hell of a mark for a little man.
He was up a fair way.
Yeah,
I
he
thought
was
he was
up
going to get it.
massively. The interesting thing about that mark, though, Mick, was that it's so funny. You're not allowed to put your hands over a player's shoulder, but you can put two hands on their back, on their shoulder, sorry, and throw yourself up into the air. If you take the mark, everything is all sweet. It's a strange anomaly in the rules.
Yeah, all of that. Jones's run when he kicked that goal, like he started that in the back lines, and he just kept running and running. Like he's developing before our eyes, that boy.
Yeah, look, I'm with you. I'm really liking Jones at the moment.
Yeah, it was a good all-round game. Like I was sitting with Mother's Day. There's 12 people here, and I didn't get to hear the first three quarters. Just watching it, I didn't get to hear it. But I was sitting there next to a Saints supporter, and when he rocked up, he goes, "Oh, we're going to lose today." And there's no doubt. I think I wasn't quite as sure, but after the first quarter, I was like, "Holy hell, we are on!" And if we can do that at every home game, it'd be good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, Mick. It was evident right from the outset that we were switched on. We were playing with intent. We were playing with a system and a plan, and they executed it perfectly, I think.
I like the idea of having Philthorpe rucking right from the start to try and bring him into the game. I watched the Matty Nix's press conference, and they said it was just mainly to bring him into the game because once he gets into the game, it seems to get him going. And the idea is, to bring him into the game. And well, everyone knows my opinion on Rob's tap work, or lack thereof. I'd just like to see Philthorpe, continue with his rucking would be good.
Yeah, look, he was up against he was really up against a very good one today. I mean, probably against possibly the best ruckman in the competition. But unfortunately, he did hurt his leg. I don't know what happened with he.
It just went over on his knee a bit.
Okay, but obviously not too badly because they did say it was very similar to the Fogarty situation where it could be bandaged up and he could carry on. But you're right, though. The idea is to get him into the game early in the piece. And I think while he didn't have an outstanding game, and he was one of probably the lesser lights of the day, as I said, he still did contribute in several other ways at times. So I think the philosophy of that is quite right. So, and I think that one day they'll do that, and you'll actually have a real super game. You'll carry it on.
Yeah, I know there's some people in the chat that don't like Saligo, but Jesus, I don't know what game they're watching because it's a different one than I am. Seeing the boy, he hasn't even played 30 games yet. Like, I think he's developing quite well.
I can't understand if anybody's saying they don't like Saligo because that's farcical because there's nothing not to like. I mean, the guy's just a very good player and he's just going to be better and better. And he's got courage and he's got ability and he uses the ball well. So I don't know what's not to like.
I didn't know he had the length of the leg he had on him, like that goal he kicked after the siren. Bloke I said to alongside me, he said, has he got the distance? And I thought, well, yeah, he'd be probably on the edge, but he wasn't right on the edge. He turned it way over. Like he a fair old hoof on him.
Well, I think that's about his range. I don't think he can kick much further than that. But what I do like about it, when he's got the ball, he really does want to use the ball. And whether in this case, it was a shot for goal. But even when he's being belted under pressure, he still always does try to find somebody with the ball.
One more comment, and I'll jump off. I'm not, I like him as a player, and he's going to be a ripper for us for a while, for a long time. But I think Rochelli's got to start handing a few more goals off because he's burning players and just having a go at getting the goal himself. And I think the last few games he's kicked 1 goal, 7. And that was the first one he missed today. Keys was in the square by himself, hands open, and he just turned his back and walked away. And there wasn't a St Kilda player anywhere near him, and he missed it. Like, if you're going to turn your back, make sure you hit it.
I reckon the bloke that Rochelli's burning is Keys just about every time. I don't think they actually like each other because I've noticed it's always Keys that Rochelli burns.
I reckon he's burnt him about 4 or 5 times in the last couple of weeks. Like, it's starting to annoy me a bit. Like, I really like Rochelli, but you've got to hand it on if there's someone else in a better position, and he's just done it too often in the last couple of weeks.
Well, he has done it, and he had a much better game today in terms of getting the ball. Last week he was very poor at getting the ball. It was the worst game he's played in Crow's colours, but and he's been reasonably good each week. But and I thought at least he was better at getting the ball. But you're quite right. You're there as part of the team, and if you're only a 20% or 30% chance of getting a goal, and somebody else can be about an 80%, you've got to give it to that player. You just have to.
I know I said I was going to have one more comment, but I'm going to have one more comment again. How good is Ned as the sub? He just comes on with so much energy and just smashes that in that 1 quarter or quarter and a half, whatever he gets. He just doesn't stop running, and he had
13 disposals and a goal in that quarter.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. But
it's worth highlighting. We might just bring him up here. It's worth highlighting because he only came on at the beginning of the last quarter or the end of the third or something.
Yep. Beginning of the last.
It's 13 disposals, 7 kicks, 6 handballs, 3 marks, kicked a goal. Went at 70% efficiency. Had 4 contested possessions, 4 intercept possessions. He had 3 score involvements. 1 inside 50, 1 stoppage clearance. You're right, Mick. For a bloke that gets slammed a fair bit, what he actually brings is exactly what you want out of a sub, and that's energy.
Every time that we've had him as a sub, he's come on and just sell. I reckon that's keep him as a sub all year because he just seems to come on and just explode, and it's just brilliant to see. Like, when he come on, it's the bloke sitting alongside him. You watch this bloke; he looks like a ADHD kid, but he been fed up on raspberry cordial and bloody raspberry frogs. Like, he just doesn't stop.
And I reckon there's a twofold benefit to that, Mick. I reckon not only, as Rabbit rightly points out, he comes on when the air's gone out of the game a bit and blokes are getting tired, and obviously is very fresh and very energetic. But it also has a knock-on effect to his teammates, I reckon. They see that amount of energy coming out of him, and it gives them a little bit of a lift as well. And I don't think that can be underrated or underestimated. I think the fact that McHenry comes on and has such a big impact, 13 disposals in a quarter, plays with high intensity, I think it just helps to, not lift, but you know what I mean? It just adds a little bit to his teammates.
Yeah, he just seems. Everyone seems to love him. Like, when he kicked that goal, everyone was around him and stuff, and he's got the biggest, cheekiest little kid smile on his face.
Yeah.
It just seems to lift everyone. Just noticing again how bloody small and how young this Paddy Parnell look. It's ridiculously when you see sitting on that bench. He looks like an Oz kid being left on the field.
Yep.
Yeah, and it doesn't even help when the camera pans up on his face. He looks like a kid even when you see his face.
I don't think he's got a whiskey yet.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I tell you what, the kid can play, no doubt about that.
Yeah, bloody hell.
All right, Mick. Well, as I said, thanks very much, mate. Good to hear you. Take care.
Anytime. Thank you.
Yeah, mate.
Who else have we got to talk about? Tex Walker, I think we've got to talk about, Macca, because he just wound the clock back a little bit again. 16 disposals, 10 and 6, took 8 marks, 2 tackles. He had 6 contested possessions, 7 uncontested possessions. What do you have? 1 goal assist and 8 score involvements. took 4 marks. Took 8 marks, four of them contested. 3 inside 50. Obviously kicked 5 goals, but also 372 metres gained from Tex. He was really good at being that link-up player at high half forward, Mac, this week. And it's exactly the kind of role that we want him to play, in my opinion. I felt like he played a really good, solid game and took his chances this week.
I thought we used the ball a lot better when we were kicking to him as well, because there's not much point when you're kicking to Tex to bomb it up in the air, because Tex doesn't do those big, glorious high marks anymore. But if you put the ball in at just a reasonable height that he can actually use his body for position, I mean, like the one he took one-handed, for example, that was just really use of his body, so he could get one arm around to the ball. And that's the type of thing the guy is a genius at doing that. And 5 goals. He's 33 years of age, and I think he's 33 as well. But I think his form's very, very good and irrespective of what age he is. And I don't think he's finished yet by a long chalk.
Well, what was the difference between Tex this week and in probably the last 2 weeks, Mac?
I thought that he was a lot less selfish this week. Last week, I thought he was a little bit selfish at times and didn't use the ball that well. But this time, he was. If there was a shot for goal, he had a shot for goal and kicked it. And I also liked the way that he jostled with his body to get the ball. So that's this week. I don't know what he did offend you last week.
Well, he played from behind. He's been playing from behind for 2 weeks. And what did he do today?
Oh, gotcha. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that's a fair comment.
Yeah, he played in front today. He wasn't leading up. They were quite content to kick to him when he was just one-on-one. Let's face it, Wilkie's in pretty good nick. But Tex had his measure all day and physically. And I noticed that they were quite happy to kick it to Tex in one-on-one situations where he would just outbody Wilkie. So, he wasn't leading up a huge amount, but he was getting into those one-on-one situations. But the main thing was that he was playing in front. He wasn't trying to do what he often does against bigger opponents, which is try to edge them underneath, which is what he was trying to do all game to Radaglia the other day. And when he plays in front, even if the ball comes to ground, he's quite good at that recovery. And, he'll often get the ball on the deck and dish it off. So he's far more effective when he actually plays in front. Yep.
And even if he plays as he did today and the ball goes to ground, when there's just one-on-one situation, you back him nearly every time with his recovery to actually get the ball, because I think he kicked a goal like that as well.
Yeah. And look, he took his chances. 5 goals is what you want. He kicked a nice snap, a couple of nice long goals. That's what you want.
Yep, you do. Fogarty had a little bit of trouble getting free, in the sense that he was paid. He got paid more attention than Tex, I would say, and. But he didn't get a lot of chances, but, you only got to give him a couple. He'll kick 2 goals.
But again, at least Fogarty was competing and getting the ball to ground. And, we got a lot of result out of ground ball gets in the forward half. And it was Fogarty largely that was contesting to bring the ball down. Him and Thilthorpe contesting to bring the ball to ground. And, I thought Darcy tried really hard and worked really hard today. Probably didn't get a lot of possessions, but... he's still a key part of our forward setup, Mac, as long as they are contesting, which is what we weren't getting out of them, him and Tex, against Geelong.
That's a fair comment. As you said, Tex in particular was playing from behind.
Yeah. So, look, it really was an all-played well situation. Like you said, Geordie Butts had a much improved game. I thought Josh Rochelle looked like he was a bit more involved this week. We talked about McHenry. Michael Annie did his job at half-back. Benny Keys did his same thing. Mitch Hinge It's
he's
just
got worthy of a
developing.
mention, mate.
Mitch Hinge just developing into one of the premier rebound halfback flankers in the competition, in my opinion.
I thought he was outstanding today. I mean, he had an excellent game, Hinge. And he once he gets the ball to that boot of it, bloody beautiful.
Yeah.
And
23 disposals, 19 kicks, 4 handballs, 8 marks. Mostly playing behind centre, 87% disposal efficiency, Mac. He had 4 contested possessions, 16 uncontested, only turned it over 3 times, 3 intercepts, 6 score involvements, which is not bad from halfback. Gives us 566 metres gained. Even got himself a clearance, but just his ability to bounce off that halfback line, and he's not afraid to try and lace someone out, and it doesn't always come off, but he's not afraid to do that change lanes kick, Mac, kick that 45-degree angle kick and try to open up the zone.
Yeah.
That's where his value is.
he did that quite often from one pocket to across to the other half-back flank, and as you say, and open up the game. And he's got such a good leg on him. The ball travels so quickly there as well. So he was tremendous value. We haven't mentioned O'Brien. I thought O'Brien got beaten in the ruck because Marshall, I think, is potentially the best ruckman in the competition, and he, not by a long way in terms of knocking caps to the players, but I thought that the one thing I will say for O'Brien, even when he was actually beaten, he never ever does give up. He still kept trying. So that's what I was getting at before. Even our worst players did something.
Yeah, I mean, the ruck jewel wasn't that evident at the ground. I noticed that Riley was doing his usual thing of just putting it where it's best for him to put it, and we often, particularly in the second quarter, I noticed a few times that he would just put it down in front of him and we would know we're there, and they were able to bring it out. I thought actually Thilthorpe was more effective at centre bounce work, to be honest with you. But again, I'd like to see Riley do a little bit more around the ground in terms of taking marks. How many marks did he take? O'Brien, where are you?
Wouldn't be a lot.
Yeah, 3 marks he took. Only had the 12 touches, which isn't in itself a bad thing. 39 hit-outs. I mean, it was pretty even in terms of hit-outs. I'd like to see the hit-outs to advantage. I mean, I don't think it was quiet. Marshall didn't have a huge influence on the game, I didn't think, Mako.
Oh, yeah, he had 44 hit-outs. I thought Marshall was one of their better players, if not their best player. He's a very good leader. He really is.
Yeah, but they hit him up a lot, and he's not one to take the big grabs, kick behind the play or anything like that. I didn't see a lot of that. Didn't see a lot of Marshall getting back in defence and helping out.
He didn't get a chance to. I thought the way we played today, players like Marshall who drop back, when you attack, we got the ball in so quickly that Marshall became irrelevant. He couldn't get back down there.
Yeah. Look, mate, that'll pretty much do it. As I said, it's probably one of our most complete performances, I think. So we turn our attention to the Bulldogs next week. It's going to be cold and wet, you'd think, in Ballarat. I watched the Bulldogs game against Carlton. They don't really... I mean... They're in the 8, they're above us. They don't really impress me, Western Bulldogs. I think a lot of the sting has gone out of their tail. They've got a couple of good midfielders. They got Bontempelli, obviously, who can turn a game by himself. I don't know. I feel like if it's a shootout, we win. I feel like if it's a bit of a bogged down 10v8 game, we probably win. I think we've got them covered if we play to our potential.
Well, I agree with you. Their gun players are English in the ruck, and And if, all we have to do is sort of try to neutralise it so the ball goes to a contest if it's not going to go to one of our players. They've got Bontempelli, who's outstanding. They've got other support midfielders who go very, very well. I nearly said
Liberatore and Bailey, what's his face, and
Bailey Smith, and they're okay. They're good midfielders, but there's a bit of a gap when you get across half forward. They're not that dangerous, and up forward they've got I think is it Vaughan? What's his name? Norton, and Jamara. Well, they take a big grab now and again, but they don't get a lot of the ball. So if we put pressure on the ball coming in there, I don't think their forward line is that damaging. And on the other hand, if we can actually get the ball quickly into our forward line, their defence, I think, is one of their poorer parts of their game. So if we can make it into a 50-50 game of possession in areas, I think we'll win the game.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mac. I'd agree with that assessment. I think we can beat them at ground level, and I think we've certainly got the personnel to nullify them up forward, and we've got enough personnel in our forward line to really worry them, I think. I think the key will be if we need to come with intensity, particularly if it's a wet game. We need to bring that intensity, because if we don't, they'll get on the outside of you, and that's when they get really dangerous. But if we can control the outside game and not give them too many outlets and keep the pressure on them like we did today against St Kilda, I think we've got a very good chance of winning.
Yep. Well, we've won there last year, and I don't think we were anywhere near as good a side last year as we are this year. So if we can reproduce something like the form we played today, that would be good enough to win.
I agree. Well, mate, that's about all I've got in me, to be honest with you. I think we've done very well for an hour 40.
No, you've lasted. You've lasted. I thought you were staggering to the line a bit, but you've got there, mate.
Yeah, I haven't got much left to give. Look, thanks to everyone who's joined us on Discord tonight. Sorry, Arab Child, your mic wasn't working, so we'll try again next week. Thanks also to everyone who's joined us on YouTube. Don't forget, if you like what you see and you haven't already, please give us a subscribe and a like. That'd be most appreciated. If you're listening on demand via iTunes, then a review would be really nice. We are the #1 Crows podcast on Apple Podcast charts at the moment, Macca.
Yep.
That's not. I put that down to your presence.
Oh, I did too, actually.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Yeah. No, so the support that everyone's been giving us has been fantastic and really appreciated. So make sure you spread the word. And look, that's all from me tonight, all from Macca. So take care, everyone. I hope you all had a good Mother's Day, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Good night, folks. See ya.